Come along with me to the Goodwill Bins. This was my first time ever going. We only have one near me. It's about a 2-hour drive, so this is not something I do frequently. You walk right in immediately to where the bins are, and it was quite a busy day. We went on a Sunday, so we were kind of expecting that, but we just sort of started going. I was a little overwhelmed when I first walked in because I didn't really know all of the protocols, but you quickly learn what's what when you get there. So we just started off by going through the bins that clearly everybody else had already been through, and there were still some like good name brands. I saw a pair of Wrangler jeans, there was Carhartt, and then Wilfred. This robe was really pretty, so I thought I would try that on. But as the day went on, it got a lot busier and more people, and we caught up to them in the bins that were coming out, so it got a little more stressful. The way that the Goodwill bins work is you pay by the pound. So this is why the Goodwill bins can be very lucrative, because you can end up spending about $1 per piece of clothing depending on the weight and how big it is. And I mean, $1 for a piece of clothing is pretty darn good. It took me about a half an hour to learn the ins and outs of this place, but essentially about every 15 minutes, they take some of the bins to the back, and I believe what they do is they just add clothing on top. I'm not sure that they actually switch out the bins because I saw a lot of repeat stuff. And then you line up, and then once all 3 bins are out, you can start looking at clothes. See, I went straight and started looking at this piece of clothing, and somebody told me off and was like, no, you have to wait till all 3 bins are out. And I was like, okay, cool, I get it. But the whole lining up for the next bin process definitely fueled my anxiety a little bit. I did not enjoy that, because then you end up standing in a bin where there's like, I don't know, 30 people around it. I just feel like that sort of shopping experience is not for me. I don't want to like be fighting against anybody. I just want to be having a chill, good old time. So I feel like if you are a really anxious person, it's probably not the place for you, but I still think like it's worth experiencing once, Some of the people here are professionals. You know that they're here very frequently, and you know that they are thrifting for their own stores or things like that. I even saw a man hiding a computer under a blanket in his cart and like having another old man watch on lookout, and he was like had a screwdriver, was taking pieces out of a computer, and I was like, this is a weird place. My overall thoughts on the actual inventory that was in most of these bins: there was a lot of kids' clothes, a lot of pajamas, a lot of blankets, and I also think not all of it, but most of it probably comes from Goodwill stores, items that were not selling because so many things had the Goodwill tag on it. But that being said, there was also a lot that didn't. Once we felt like we had kind of gone through all of the clothing bins that were on the floor, we decided to go check out like shoes, purses, hats. And I have to say, this was the dirtiest bin. Like there was like just straight up dirt in this bin. Obviously it's shoes. I loved this boot, but like could not for the life of me find its pair, which was kind of annoying because everything's just like held together with elastics for the pairs. Then this was like this miscellaneous home goods bin. As you can tell, it's like just filled to the brim with random stuff. Kind of fun to go through, but a lot of garbage too. And this has been picked over by people, right? Like people really went ham on the home goods electronics type bins. Those people who were there, they were there for those bins and they were lining up and there was like not a space to stand around them. So I thought this was super cute, but I've been trying to thrift intentionally lately, so it was probably a bad time for me to come to the bins. They had about 3 of these big bins full of records and books. I didn't see these bins get taken out and switched out the whole time I was here, which was maybe like 2 hours. So if you're going for books, I wouldn't expect like a big turnover with them. There wasn't many people wearing gloves, but I definitely do see the value in it because you never know what you're going to grab. I think, once I grabbed something that was like sticky, and another time I grabbed literal underwear. So especially with the shoes that are like really dirty. So yeah, I definitely do think gloves would be a good idea. We just kept hand sanitizing throughout the day, but gloves would have worked too. This is when it started to get busy. You can see how many hands are going into the bin at once, and it was overwhelming, honestly. I thought everybody would work in like a clockwise motion around the bin. That did not happen. Nobody's like moving out of your way. Nobody's moving with you. You have to like work around people. It's not like the friendliest environment. And what I noticed was a lot of people, they would just see something, they wouldn't even know what it is or look at what it is, and it would just go right into their bin. They'd check it out later and then put it back if they didn't want it. So that was like really frustrating. And like half the time you'd pick something up to get it out of your way and somebody would just like take it out of your hand. Again, it just was not the thrifting experience that I wanted. However, I do realize you're getting stuff for really cheap, so maybe it's a little bit of like a give and take. You get something really cheap, but you gotta like really work for it. I don't know. I think it was a huge advantage to going to the bins with somebody else because you could be on one side of the bins, they could be on the other side, and if you saw anything that you thought the other person would like, you could kind of just hold it up to them and they could be like yay or nay. Like this skirt that I found, I knew Eb was looking for a long denim skirt, so I just like showed it to her and she said nay, and then we put it back down. So we kind of covered like double the ground in half the amount of time. So like maybe if you are gonna go with somebody else. In terms of finding any gems, I did find a few things that I really liked, like this slip dress I thought was really pretty, but It wasn't like hit after hit after hit. I think you probably would have to like spend the entire day here to really find a lot of stuff. The time I went, I just didn't really find anything. And if I did, which like this dress, beautiful, right? Stunning. Way too small for me. Like there's no way I could even get this on my body, but it was beautiful and just not my size, which was that's the unfortunate truth of thrifting. I don't think I've shown you guys like the home goods section yet, but it's really nothing to write home about. Again, the people who thrift this section are like wild, and it's like there's no room around the bins when they come out. Like people are going nuts, but you could get some like frames for pretty cheap, I suppose. But yeah, there was just kind of like nothing. It seemed like a lot of garbage in this area. We decided to do one more round of bins, and to be fair, this was probably the worst one yet. There's so many blankets, and like it's really hard when you're trying to like look for the clothes, like to get the blankets out. They're like all twisted on each other, and they keep all the blankets in with all the clothes, so that's frustrating. And because I was moving everything with my left arm because I was filming with my right, my arm hurt so much after this thrift shop. But yeah, I just wish they kept the blankets all in one bin, but wishful thinking. So many. This is pretty sick. On a boy, imagine. This was an extremely hard place to film in because there's people around you and you don't want to invade their space. But I did want to take you with me, and I hope that you still enjoyed it regardless. After we were pretty much done looking through the bins, I decided to try some stuff on, but again, there's just people everywhere, so it was really hard to like show you much. And I also did get yelled at for filming, and so we just left. All in all, I think it was fun to experience, but I'm not sure that I'll be back to the Goodwill bins anytime soon.